Okay, so there's a guy at my gym. Let's call him Cracked Bumper Steve, because that's literally the only distinguishing feature of his car. Same 3 t-shirts on rotation. Doesn't even own a gym bag. Just carries his stuff in a plastic grocery bag like some kind of feral raccoon. And for 2 years, I genuinely thought this man was struggling. Like, mentally, I had already started a GoFundMe for him. Then I overheard him on the phone with his broker, casually, like he was ordering a sandwich. And it turns out Cracked Bumper Steve is sitting on a 7-figure portfolio. Meanwhile, there was this other guy, brand new Range Rover, watch that probably cost more than my car, the kind of guy who says, we should grab drinks sometime. And you both know that's never happening. Everyone at the gym thought this dude had it figured out. Turns out, a friend told me later, he was about 3 missed paychecks away from that Range Rover getting yanked off his driveway by a tow truck at 2 a.m. This is not a coincidence. This happens constantly. And once you notice it, you cannot unnotice it. It's like the Mandela effect, but for parking lots. So today, let's talk about something that sounds completely backwards. Why looking poor on purpose might honestly be one of the smartest money moves you'll ever make. I'm Matt. This channel is about money psychology, not spreadsheets. So if that's your thing, subscribe and let's get into it. Quick question first. Picture a rich person in your head right now. Go ahead. What'd you get? Nice car, big house, a watch with more zeros than your rent? Yeah, that's what everyone pictures. And here's the annoying part. That image is basically always wrong. The Millionaire Next Door people actually went and surveyed real, verified millionaires and asked what they paid for their last car. Median answer? Just over $31,000. Not the flex you were expecting, huh? And get this, something like 86% of people driving fancy prestige brand cars are not millionaires.
So, statistically, next time you see a Mercedes in a parking lot, you're probably not looking at wealth. You're looking at a guy who agreed to 6 years of car payments so strangers would assume he's doing great. And people are stretching these things out forever now. New car payments are averaging over $700 a month, financed for basically 6 years. 6 years! That's a Netflix show renewed for 6 seasons of just slowly watching a car become worth less money. So why do we do this to ourselves? Because nobody wakes up thinking, today I will make myself poorer for 6 years. That's not the vibe. What actually happens is way sneakier, and it's got a name. Lifestyle creep. And it is criminally good at what it does. Here's how it sneaks up on you. You get a raise. Say you go from 60K to 75K. That extra 15 grand feels like monopoly money, free breathing room. So naturally, you upgrade the apartment a little, get a nicer car, start doing dinner out more because, hey, you earned it. And then, poof, 6 months later, that extra 15K is just evaporated. You didn't get richer. You just got a more expensive version of broke. Congrats, I guess. And this isn't some rare unlucky thing. This happens to a genuinely wild number of people. Over a third of people making 6 figures are living paycheck to paycheck. And it does not stop at 6 figures either. Plenty of households pulling in $500,000 a year still say they feel broke. $500,000 a year feeling broke. If that doesn't make you go, wait, what? I don't know what will. Okay, so here's the actual point of this whole video. And I promise this is the last stat-sounding thing I'll say, I swear. Income and wealth are not the same thing. Income is what comes in. Wealth is what's left after your life takes a bite out of it. And if your spending goes up every single time your income does, wealth never actually gets a turn. You're on a treadmill that speeds up the second you start running faster. Exhausting, honestly. This is where looking poor comes in. And I need to be really clear about something. This is not eat ramen forever while secretly rich and miserable advice. Nobody wants that life. This is just about not letting your spending automatically inflate the second your paycheck does. Keeping the visible stuff boring while the invisible number quietly gets huge in the background.
Let's do some actual math, though, because I think better with numbers instead of vibes. Meet Dave. And also, somehow, another Dave, because apparently that's just the rule on this channel now. Dave A and Dave B. Same salary, $85K. Both get promoted to $100K. Dave A does the totally normal, understandable thing. Leases a new SUV, $650 a month. Moves to a nicer apartment, $400 more a month. A few more dinners out here and there, another $300-ish. And just like that, poof, the raise is basically gone. Dave A makes more money now, and somehow his bank account looks exactly the same as before. Dave B does something almost boring by comparison. Keeps the paid-off Toyota, stays in the same apartment, takes that extra chunk, roughly $1,350 a month, and just quietly dumps it into an index fund every single month, like it's a bill he has to pay.
10 years later, and this is the part that gets me every time, Dave B's pile of boring money has grown to roughly $250,000. $250,000 from doing literally nothing exciting. No hustle, no side gig, just refusing to upgrade his life. And Dave A., 10 years in, he's got a depreciated car, an apartment he still doesn't own, and basically nothing to show for a decade of raises. Not because he's bad with money, because he did the totally normal thing. That's what should actually scare you here. Normal is expensive. Here's a fun little brain thing, too. Spending on visible stuff is basically just a signal to other people. It's peacocking. It's humans doing the same thing peacocks do, except with a BMW instead of feathers.
A 50 grand car does not get you to Trader Joe's any faster than a 20 grand car, but it tells the parking lot something. That's genuinely its whole job. Except here's the twist. The people you're trying to impress are usually way too busy comparing themselves to somebody else to even clock your car. Everybody's performing for an audience that's distracted performing for their own audience. It's just a room full of people quietly stressed about the same thing, staring at their phones instead of each other's cars. And there's a sneaky tax on looking rich, too. Contractors quote you higher. Salespeople push harder. Your friend forgets their wallet way more often once you're the one with the nice car. Meanwhile, the guy in the beat-up Civic gets the honest price. Every time. Because nobody assumes he's got deep pockets to dig into. Here's my favorite part of this whole idea, though. Once your visible life stays kind of boring while your actual net worth is quietly climbing behind the scenes, something shifts. You stop needing people to clock that you're doing well, because you've got a number only you can see that's doing the talking instead. Your brokerage account does not care what's in your driveway. It only cares if you fed it. So what do you actually do with this? I don't want to just leave you feeling bad about your car. That's not the assignment here. First thing, every time your income goes up, before your lifestyle gets the memo, redirect a real chunk of it somewhere it can't touch. Automatically, before it even lands in checking long enough to whisper sweet nothings at you. Raise is $500, keep $200 to actually enjoy, because you should enjoy some of it, and send $300 off to go compound in peace. Second, this isn't never spend on anything. It's picking your battles. Let your grocery budget breathe a little if good food matters to you. Sure, go nuts on cheese. But the big recurring stuff, the car, the housing, keep those boring on purpose, because those are the ones quietly steering the whole ship. Third one's the hard one, untangling your self-worth from what people can see. You will drive past a nicer car. You will see a friend's bigger place. And some annoying little voice is going to whisper that you're falling behind. What helps me is just remembering I genuinely have no clue what that person's real numbers look like. I've been wrong about people's finances so many times at this point, it's basically my personality trait. Cracked Bumper Steve wasn't hiding his money to make some big statement. He just genuinely did not care about the car. That's honestly the end goal here. Not gritting your teeth pretending to be poor while secretly seething about it, but actually getting to a place where the visible stuff just stops registering because you're too busy watching the number underneath it do its thing. And here's the weird part. Once you feel this shift even a little, once a raise actually turns into real money instead of vanishing into a nicer apartment, going back starts to feel almost unbearable. You start watching other people's lifestyle creep the way you'd watch someone slowly light a pile of cash on fire. Politely, no judgment, just, noticing. So next time you get a raise or a bonus or any kind of win, before your lifestyle expands to match it, ask yourself one dumb little question. Am I about to buy something that makes me look rich? Or do something that actually makes me rich? Because weirdly enough, you almost never get to do both with the same dollar.
My name is Matt. Thanks for watching.